Hello everyone, I'm MVL and today we have a bonus pickup video. I recently went to a car boot sale in Truro and I picked up a ton of games. I did really well. I got a few Xbox original games, a couple of Xbox 360 games and a ton of PC games, including big box PC games. I managed to get gameplay footage for all of the PC games because I have an XP laptop with a S-video out. So without further ado, let's get on to the games! First up, we have Populous, the Beginning. Populous puts you in the role of a god to command your minions into controlling the world around you. Bullfrog challenges you to achieve immortality in the first ever true 3D real-time strategy game. Now this is a really cool looking game. You can go to war against other gods, other tribes. You can play multiplayer with this as well. I did require a patch to get this game to work, but it does work fine. The game has, for the time, a unique, powerful 3D engine to bring you a 360-degree fully rotating globe complete with curved horizons. Stunningly beautiful graphics that allow you to watch over your domain from high or zoom down to richly detailed ground level perspective. Really cool. Populous, the Beginning for the PC. Next up we have Master of Orion II. Battle at Antares. I think that's how you say it. This game was given 90% by PC Gamer and 92% by PC Zone. You can't afford to miss out is the tagline on the back by Crucial Entertainment. This is a space simulation empire building game. Take your empire building to the next level with Master of Orion II. Become the leader of one of 13 alien races or create your own unique species. Compete against up to 7 players over a local area network or go head-to-head via a modem. A really cool looking game. Empire Sims aren't really my thing, but it was definitely sweet to pick this up in the big box. And I will say that I paid about £1 a piece for most of these games. The bulk of the PC games I picked up for £15 in total, so I really did get an awesome deal. Next up, however, probably the worst game of the bunch, we have Stephen King's F13. Now the cool thing about this is it includes the never before released in book form, Everything's Eventual. Now I actually thought that this might include that novel inside as a paperback publication. Unfortunately not. It would be cool if you could take the book out of the CD as a PDF or something like that. Unfortunately you have to read it in this program, and this really sucks. As a computer game, this is definitely the worst of the bunch. I wouldn't say it's the worst game I've ever played, because it is technically playable. Now, the games, and I'd use the word games loosely, contained in Stephen King's F13, are more like mini-games. You have one game where you drop little animals into a piranha fish tank and they eat them, and that's it. You have another game which is Whack-A-Mole with zombies. Actually probably the best of the bunch. That's what makes it playable. Nevertheless, it's just Whack-A-Mole with zombies and skeletons and ghosts and things like that. And the final game feels like a desktop accessory game where you just crush bugs on the screen. You also have a bunch of screensavers, desktop sounds, and desktop wallpapers. All in all, I wouldn't say this qualifies as an actual release for a computer game. I should have really got a clue with the title F13 being a bit kind of cheesy and a bit stupid because the keyboard doesn't go up that high, and even if you did have an F13 button, that wouldn't really be scary in any way, shape or form. But there you go, the Master of Horror give us F13 for the PC. Next up we have The Great Battles Collector's Edition. Now this includes 3 award-winning games, The Great Battles of Caesar, Alexander and Hannibal. It also includes a bonus scenario editor. This is really cool. It's not my kind of strategy game. I do prefer my strategy games to have a bit more action to them. This is a historical strategy game. It is really cool, however, to pick this up for £1 along with most of the other games. So there you go, The Great Battles. Next up, something I'm really pleased about, The Temple of Elemental Evil. This is a classic Dungeons & Dragons Greyhawk adventure. Really cool to pick this up in the big box as well. I haven't seen any big box copies of these on eBay. This game describes itself as RPG heaven. Greyhawk is at the top of my can't wait to play list, says a PC Gamer. That's what the review says. PC Gamer, the publication, I assume. This has the merit of being the first and only, at the time, PC game to feature the D&D 3.5 rule set. Wow, we're on 5th edition now. With that said, this game looks awesome, it plays really great, and this is probably the best of the bunch for me in the set, the Temple of Elemental Evil for the PC. Next up, we have Titan's Quest Gold Edition. The Gold Edition contains Titan's Quest and Titan's Quest Immortal Throne. Now, most of these games I captured on an old XP laptop via S-Video, but this game and one of the other games were a bit more modern, so they worked on my current computer. This game was a bit of a surprise to me because I wasn't expecting much. Like I say, I paid £1 for most of them, but this is really good. It reminds me of Neverwinter Nights or perhaps the first Witcher game. It's a third-person fantasy game by THQ. The Titans have escaped their eternal prison, wreaking havoc upon the earth. The gods seek a hero who can turn the tide in an epic struggle that will determine the fate of both men and gods. Are you ready for this quest? This game is really cool. Titan's Quest on the PC. Next up, we have Blair Witch Limited Edition Triple Pack. This Limited Edition Triple Pack actually goes for around about £20, considering I paid £1 for it. This was a really good deal. It contains Blair Witch Volume 1, Rustin Parr, Blair Witch Volume 2, The Legend of Coffin Rock, and Blair Witch Volume 3, The Ellie Kedward Tale. I had no idea there was a Blair Witch game on the PC, let alone free. Now, I bought almost all of these items from the same seller, and when I asked him if this game was any good, he said it kind of sucks. I disagree. This is actually pretty good. What I will say is the controls suck. The keyboard controllers move you forward, backwards, left and right, but they don't turn you. You have to do that with the mouse, which is really awkward because you have to switch between keyboard controls and the mouse all the time. Visually, I think the game looks really good. I did, however, have to get a patch to get the first game to work. To my knowledge, that's the only one of the 3 that needs a patch, the other 2 don't. But you can find that on the patch scrolls. So there we have a pleasant surprise. Blair Witch Limited Edition Triple Pack, actually not that bad for the PC. Next up we have Dawn of War II Retribution Collector's Edition. This includes a poster, art cards, and bonus unlockable item, which I can't use at all, of course. The packaging in the style of a tome is really awesome as well. Now, I will say that out of all of the games I got them all to work except this game, which is why you're seeing regular Dawn of War footage for this. I happen to have that already on Steam. This game requires an internet connection for activation, and the CD key was already used, so Steam would not let me install this game at all. That sucks, but I did get this for £1. Funnily enough, the original Dawn of War games, which I bought new, had their CD keys already used on Steam when I tried to register them, which really sucked. However, those games would still install even if you didn't put them on Steam. Dawn of War 2 has to go through Steam to work. But fortunately, I already had the base edition of Dawn of War 2, so I was able to get you gameplay footage. Where Dawn of War 2 departs from the original game, which was a real-time strategy game, Dawn of War 2 focuses on small groups and squads of units, and you level them up and gain experience and give them better war gear and weapons as you go. Really cool, really awesome that it's different in gameplay to the first game. Dawn of War 2 Retribution Collector's Edition. Next up we have Planescape Torment. This is a white label version of a Black Isles game by Virgin Interactive. Now, the cool thing about these white label games, which allows me to put up with the horrible packaging, I would much prefer it to be a big box game, is that they come with patches for a bunch of the Forgotten Realms games that Black Isles did. There was a Baldur's Gate patch in here, which is really useful, as well as a Planescape patch as well. This game was built with the BioWare Infinity engine, which is the same engine used in Baldur's Gate. If you're familiar with games like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale and many of the Forgotten Realms games, the gameplay is the same. You have a top-down perspective and it's a point-and-click D&D adventure. What's really awesome is, even though this is a re-release, when the game finished installing, you had a trailer for the new and upcoming Black Isles game, Icewind Dale, which is really funny because I completed that game over a decade ago. PC Gamer describes this game as one of the most mouth-watering role-playing prospects. They give it 86%. This game didn't garner a lot of attention on its release, but it has since gained a lot of critical acclaim since then. Really cool to pick this up. It's a cool setting for a game, Planescape Torment. Next up, we have Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. Now, I thought I could get this game to work on my modern computer, but the colours get all messed up. I was able to capture footage of this from my XP computer, but it will be a 4.3 perspective instead of 16.9 widescreen. With that said, this game is really awesome. It's a real-time strategy game, but it's Star Wars! How awesome is that? There's nothing more satisfying than blasting droids with Chewbacca. Lead the great armies of the Star Wars saga in intense real-time strategy clashes. Enter the fray as a Galactic Empire, Rebel Alliance, Wookiees, Trade Federation, Gungans, or Royal Naboo. No, not the Royal Naboo. To determine the course of the Galactic Civil War. This game is sweet. Really glad to pick this up. Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. Next up, I got a couple of games free. There were loose discs, extra discs in one of the big box PC games. First up is Motocross Madness. Now, Motocross Madness is a stunt racer game by Microsoft. The graphics in this game are actually pretty impressive for the time. I recorded this with a keyboard and mouse. I have a feeling it will be best controlled with a joystick or a gamepad. I'm not a big racing game fan, but I do think this does look pretty good. Motocross Madness for the PC. Next up we have Respect Inc. I don't really know a lot about Respect Inc. or perhaps Respect Incorporated. I can tell you from playing this game that it is a platform game. It has a really funny, really amusing art style. The game seems to be set in America around about the 1940s, I would guess. You can freely explore the environment in this game, and you can pick up guns and shoot enemies and things like that. It's actually pretty cool. My only complaint about this game is you can't use the mouse even on the menus. It's keyboard controls for all of it. However, I did get this for free, and it is pretty cool. Respect Incorporated for the PC. Next up we have Baldur's Gate 2. Anyone that's seen my game room tours know that I already have this game, so why did I pick it up again? Well, I found a separate seller that had this and one other PC game for £1 each. I picked it up because I didn't have it in the case. I have these games as loose discs for basically all of my Forgotten Realms Black Isles adventures. They were all damaged by water at one point, and I lost all the big box cases, so I just picked this up. And I also already have these on DVDs, so I'm not really sure why I picked this up at all. I just did. I am looking to replace those big boxes at some point when I'm able. And it can't hurt to have spare discs. Baldur's Gate 2, another fantastic adventure game in the Dungeons & Dragons setting. And it is cool to pick it up in the jewel case. Next up we have Lands of Lore 3. Now this game is a first-person game by Westwood Studios. Westwood used to make the Command & Conquer and the Dune games before they went out of business. This game does look pretty sweet. This is a fantasy game, a first-person game, and this game looks really cool. It looks really immersive. First up, after you battle your way to a town, you get the option of joining a guild, a mage guild, a fighters guild, and things like that, and then you set out on your adventure. But like most fantasy games, I spent the initial trials fighting boars in a forest. So there you go, Lands of Lore 3. Next up we have Lords of Magic. Now this game is pretty cool. It is a game by Sierra, and it is a fantasy strategy game. You control your units as different squads or all together if you group them, and you move them around the world to find adventure. When you go into an area where there are enemies, you go from an overworld view into a more traditional strategy game where you could take down your enemies. You get a lot of different options in choosing your main character in this game. I found the most useful supporting unit to be the archers because they didn't need to get stuck into battle, and they did quite a lot of damage. That's Lords of Magic for the PC. Next up we have Magic Carpet 2. I actually didn't like this game very much, and the reason I didn't like it is more of a technical issue. Whilst this game would play on my XP computer, it is a DOS game. That meant that most of the functions I couldn't get to work. I couldn't get a controller to work with it properly. I also couldn't get sound at all. I have a feeling I would be able to get everything to work fine on this game if I played it on my current PC through DOSBox. DOSBox is an awesome DOS emulation program. The problem I have are the controls on this game. Because it is meant to be played with a joystick, the look is inverted, which is really difficult to do with a mouse. I found it incredibly frustrating, and I got really angry with this game really quickly. I do of course prefer playing first-person games with look inversion enabled, but not with a mouse. Magic Carpet 2 for the PC. Next up we have Nemesis. Now I got this from a different seller, again for the price of £1. This game is quite an oddity. It describes itself as an arcade-style action game for Windows. Windows 3.1 or Windows 95. Incredible 3D rendered graphics, awesome digital sounds, and free skill levels. I actually think this game is pretty cool. I mean, it's more of a game than this. It's more of a game than this. The game feels like a combination of Space Invaders and Asteroids. It's a really simple game, but it is really fun. This game is super obscure. I'm not sure it was released by itself. It says bundled product only on the back, not to be sold separately. So it is really cool and probably a pretty rare find to find this. Nemesis on the PC. Next up we have Utopia, Creation of a Nation. This is another world-building strategy game with an isometric 3D view. Can you create Utopia? Now's your chance to find out. Leading a colonizing party to a barren planet, your aim is to create the perfect society where everyone has a quality of life rating of 100%. A noble cause. Right here on the back it says Utopia breaks new ground in computer entertainment. So that's Utopia, Creation of a Nation for the PC. Now on to the original Xbox games that we have. Brothers in Arms, Road to Hill 30. Now this is a wartime first-person shooter game. It has local multiplayer and system link. It also has online functions which will not work at this time. This game is based on a true story. It was pretty cool to play. I will say though it's not really remarkable. When you've played a bunch of wartime first-person shooter games, you've pretty much played all of them. This game is definitely not bad, but I wouldn't say it stands out very much either. It was pretty cool, and I'm definitely glad to pick this up for £1. Brothers in Arms, Road to Hill 30 for the original Xbox. Next up we have Conflict Desert Storm 2. Now the guy I bought the bulk of the PC games off actually recommended Conflict Desert Storm 2 and another Conflict game. I actually quite like these games. I've never played any of these type of games before. It's a shooter game with a wartime setting. The unique thing about this game is you have a squad of different characters and you can switch between them while you're playing. So you can get your characters to decent positions, get them in sniper places, get them driving, get them gunning, and you can switch between them all at once. I have to imagine that playing this on multiplayer would be awesome. The game really feels like it's designed to play that way. A bit more taxing when you're playing with one person, because when you're not doing anything with your character, unless you give them an order and you switch to another character, they'll just stand there like a lemming. With that said, the graphics of this game look awesome. This game plays really well. I'm actually pretty glad to pick this up. Conflict Desert Storm 2 for the original Xbox. And the other Conflict game I picked up is Conflict Vietnam. This game features all of the same gameplay mechanics as Conflict Desert Storm 2. The only thing I didn't like on this game is I have to put through quite a lengthy tutorial process at the start, which is handy because I played this game first and I was able to get to grips with the controls before I started recording the games. With that said, I would have liked to have been put in the action and got to do shooting a bit more rather than finding someone from a medical tent to gather medical supplies, finding someone from a munitions range to grab guns and things like that. There is a sticker on the front of this game giving it 92% from Loaded, which is a PlayStation magazine, which I always find really funny to see that on an Xbox case. There is also a quote from an Xbox magazine, XBN. We have a AAA certified hit on our hands, ... genius. So there you have it. Conflict Vietnam ... genius for the original Xbox. And finally for the original Xbox we have Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. Official Xbox magazine describes this as the best stealth game ever. And this game is described as the new dawn of stealth action. You are Sam Fisher, a deadly stealth operative waging a one-man war against an Indonesian terrorist network. Okay, so honest review of this game, I hate it. I don't like it, it sucks. If this game is your thing, that's fine. I don't like stealth games, especially when you can't just run up to people and hit them. I like my action games. I don't really like stealth games. This game just really didn't click with me, so I've got nothing good to say about this game. It really frustrated me. Didn't get much gameplay footage for it. Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow for the original Xbox. Next up, we have, for the Xbox 360, Fracture. Now this game was awesome. This game is a unique first-person shooter game, and the unique thing about this game is that you have terrain deformation. You have a part of your weapon that can expand or retract, lower or raise terrain as you go. You have grenades that do weird things like that. You have destructible environment. This game is really cool. I did quite enjoy this game. Reshape the battlefield, reshape the battle. In the year 2161, survival of the fittest will take on a whole new meaning. Cybernetically enhanced forces from the east will battle a genetically engineered army from the west, utilising never-before-seen terrain-deforming weapons. The battlefield will never be the same. Fracture for the original Xbox. Really cool game. And finally, we have The Darkness. Not that awful rock band, and I say rock band really loosely. This game is pretty cool. You play a stereotypical goth in this first-person shooter game. The character dual wields pistols, with one pistol being the left trigger and one pistol being the right trigger, which is pretty cool. The setting is really dark, ironically, but the game is awesome, the graphics look sweet, and the game is really fun to play. The game starts off like a traditional first-person shooter until the point where you gain the power of the darkness, which mixes it up a little bit. A cold-blooded mafia hitman becomes even more deadly when a terrifying inheritance is forced upon him on the eve of his 21st birthday. Possessed by the darkness, Jackie Estacado, really? Jackie Estacado? Discovers he wields a terrible power which can destroy enemies without mercy. But this exhilarating force comes at a price. The darkness has a malevolent agenda all of its own. Experience intense cinematic action in this gritty first-person shooter with a horror twist. Blast your way through the dark and seedy underbelly of New York City. Use the awesome, terrible powers of the darkness to devour, impale and explode your foes. This game is really awesome. I actually preferred it before the darkness got involved in the story of this game because it was more of a regular first-person shooter and I liked the mechanics, especially the kill mechanics. This game is really sweet. That's the darkness on the Xbox 360 and that's it! Those are all of my car boot pickups. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe and I'll catch you next time.